What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world that is for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and in 2022 and 2021, the team that I'm a part of with that venture, we reach out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. So as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. So before we get all three ladies up on the stage, some little housekeeping here. First things first, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button so you get notified. Also, follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Also, to advertise your product or service on the platform, please feel free to reach out to me via email at dr.vibe@the.vibeshow.com. And last but not least, join the Discord group. That's where we keep the conversations going in between State of Things episodes. So, with no further ado, it's about that time to bring up the ladies, Aisha K. Staggers, Jill Jones, LaLa Key. We is here. There's LaLa. Hey, what's going on, family? How we doing?
Great, I guess. As good as can be expected.
I think these days, as good as can be expected is as good as it can be. What's been going on over the past week? Any interesting things?
Not too much. I promised myself that I would speak about this a little bit more because it's become my personal cause now. This drunk driving thing, it used to be in the 80s. You heard that all the time. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. Well, I'm now unfortunately been drug into this thing where I can tell you it's still alive and well, and those who are doing it are not getting the punishments that they need. So this week has been very stressful with my sister's case because nothing has been done. So people, I really need you to start thinking about before you get behind the wheel. There's really no reason whatsoever. I mean, there's Ubers, there's rides, there's whatever. And if you have a friend and you see that they're inebriated or you even think they're impaired at all, please do not let them drive. Take their keys, call an Uber for them because this will never end.
Or a lift if they're,
yes.
It's so crazy that I'm so sorry about your sister's case, but we have to be vigilant and keep trying to get that together.
Yep. It's not even been a year, but she's still walking free. So
I think even more of an important message at this time of year. So in the US, Thanksgiving's coming, and then we've had the holiday season. We had Thanksgiving a few weeks ago in Canada, but in the US, Thanksgiving is regarded as the beginning of the holiday season. So even more so, there's no excuse.
If I'm not mistaken, the girl who killed your sisters, plural,
yes.
Her father is a sheriff or knows the mayor.
He's involved with that whole side, and I have to be very careful about what I say about that.
Yes.
Well, I can say it. So maybe MSNBC, maybe one of those shows can get involved and do a little digging on this. If anybody else listens to get it to somebody so that they know that there's corruption down in, where is it, Alabama, right?
Jackson, Mississippi.
And it's very interesting that
be looked at.
Prosecute this girl who killed two women who were sisters in a car.
And she's still walking free?
And she's still free.
Yeah, she is.
And she's an African-American woman too.
Yeah,
it's interesting to know that corruption falls on all colors, all races. It goes on. But it might be interesting for the world to see that it's not just, some old redneck down there. It's also some old, some of our people who do it to each other.
Exactly.
And God only knows what else they've been doing down there. So somebody needs to investigate, right?
Yep,
I know
exactly.
there's a lot of corruption in Jackson because what they're doing with the water and people's water bills and things. So there's a
There
lot of
you go.
corruption going down there anyway. So yeah, and I've looked into a few things with it for LaLa too. So I'm
Mhm.
careful about what I say too.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I
Absolutely.
can say this. I can say this. I did speak to someone else from there going through the same thing in the same area. And
Mm.
her case is still going on, and it's 3 years now. And the person who killed her spouse is still walking free as well.
You know what?
They need to
What's
have
wrong with those
harsher,
people down there?
But
Is
but
they
there
need
but
to have
you know what?
harsher,
But
what
but
do you call it?
but
Bail
isn't
and
it?
bonds for these kinds of crimes need to be much higher than they are.
It's interesting because I know Aisha, we love our crime dramas, and look at Dateline, we watch those things and those true crime stories. It always fascinates me how long it takes a case to get to trial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
Because
It
amazing to me.
fascinates me.
we have so many things that allow for people to make motions. And so like even when we get to talking about this RICO case in Georgia and these other cases is that people can have their attorneys file all kinds of motions till the cows come home. And before it can even go to trial, all the motions have to be addressed. So one motion will get filed and they'll be looking into that and then they'll file another. And then there's all these appeals that people can do up until the point that they say you've exhausted your appeals before any of before some people even see any prison time. It is really a sad case of things because they say it's to protect people from being um, unduly prosecuted, but notice that some
Hmm.
people get prosecuted a lot faster than
yeah, they
others
do
and will
expeditiously?
go to jail
Mm.
than others. And then the more money you have, the longer you can keep yourself out of prison.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Or the more people you
Or the more
know.
people you know, because this sounds like it's somebody she knows. And,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I mean, this woman committed murder, basically,
Yeah.
essentially. And
And maimed another person. I talk about my sisters, but one
Yeah.
thing I want to make sure that I acknowledge is the man who was
the
in the
person who
car
was
with my
driving.
sisters
Yeah.
was they
Severely.
almost lost him 3 times
Yeah.
on the table. So he has to now walk around with those injuries as well as the mental
The
when
trauma, the
the
trauma.
trauma of the whole thing. So yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
glad when I can freely talk about things because there's a lot of things I definitely want to share that the general public really needs to know.
Yeah. LaLa and I actually had a really long talk about this a couple of weeks ago, and
Mhm.
it was just really, really, really deep because we both obviously have lost siblings. And so there's um there's that there was that connection, but just the fact that her sisters were happy at the time that this
Yeah.
happened and it's not something you could prepare for. You don't know what's going to happen, and then just this one person out of nowhere comes just and
Takes it away.
Yeah.
takes it away and changes lives forever.
Ever.
And
Forever.
and it's not just the drinking, people also too, if you take any kind of medication that you're even prescribed that makes you drowsy,
Hmm.
do not get behind the wheel. I'll tell you this, if I even feel like unsteady, like I might have a seizure or something, I don't get behind the wheel.
Right.
If I take certain medications, like if I know I have to take Benadryl for something, I don't even think about
I don't think people
driving
who have
anywhere.
seizures are even supposed to be driving, actually.
You have to be medically
Not in
cleared for it.
California.
No, you have to be medically cleared for it. If you
Yeah,
have them under control, you avoid them for X amount of times, and they're not a certain severity, then you do have your driving privileges. Because for a while I couldn't drive. Um, but yeah, you have to, if you take any kind of drugs, any kind of prescription drugs or anything, you have to be very careful. If you do not feel like you can focus, do not get
Yep.
behind the wheel.
We just have a
Simple as
lack
that.
of enforcement in this country. And I think that we also have a lack of that there are consequences. And we can see how the general vibe is about consequences to things that are, across the world. But look at the guy who killed the judge the other day because he didn't like what was given to him in family court. I mean, and, we also have some loosey-goosey things where people are cutting fences in prisons and letting people out to escape. I mean, what is going on in America? I mean, it's really like,
I think the question is what's not
I
going
actually
on in
feel there's
America.
a real serious issue with people having pride in their jobs and work ethics, and people having expectations and entitlement issues and thinking that they deserve better and that they should just be sitting around and doing absolutely, they don't work hard.
Nothing.
I
Yeah.
don't feel like people work very hard in America anymore, and they don't really care. And they want to get paid $25 for it, doing nothing. It's like, I'm sorry. If I have a company, they don't work hard enough and they have no
Right.
pride in their work. It's not, they don't try to do their very best. It's just like, well, you're going to have to pay me anyway. There's just that general vibe. And, it's going to really ruin everything for people. They're going to wake up. Really, that's why some people maybe don't care about them sleeping on the streets anymore. It's like, well, I'm seeing what's going on in my office. So what the hell am I supposed to do about it? If people don't have any pride or take any or have any respect for authority, what do you do? I kind of feel like the campaign that China had against America and Putin, I think they already won.
Okay. Let's get some things going here. So want to say some hellos and happy Saturday, everyone. Black Beauty. Jen Myers is here right from the beginning this time, not popping in near the end. So Jen is in the house. And Leslie McEwen from Ottawa. Good to have you, Leslie.
Any relation to Rod McEwen?
No.
Oh.
There's Green Eyed Little Baby. From the hello, everyone from the rotten state of Florida. LOL.
I feel you, sister. I feel you.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. All right. So if you're here live, thanks for chiming in. Engage during our live conversation. Got various conversation topics to chat about tonight. First one we're going to chat about. Here we go. It seems that things may be escalating. U.S. forces repel Middle East attacks as Israel-Hamas war threatens spillover. Who would like to chat?
Well, I mean, I'll just go quickly. 10,000 of our troops, I guess, were at the Saudi Air Force Base, or that's where they are. We already had ships out there to kind of deter, hopefully, Lebanon and all of those people. But today they issued the embassy in Lebanon asked for Americans to evacuate and leave because they are anticipating something from Hezbollah. I don't know if it was some intelligence that they've heard or whatever, but it probably would be safe to anticipate some shenanigans from all of them, to be perfectly honest. This is kind of like that game where you don't know who's going to stab you in the back at any moment.
Well, yeah, they all have their own agendas, and they're just waiting for the opportunity to literally pull the trigger. I am always very proud of our military, and I just don't. I hate that we're in this situation. I'm struggling, and I'm going to be very honest. I'm struggling with this whole thing. I don't feel like I know enough about the history. And so I've been working very hard to understand where this aggression comes from. And it's so deep that you can go down the rabbit hole and never come out of it. So I will say that right now, I don't feel that I am well versed enough to say either side. All I know is that innocent people are being killed, both sides. Okay, both sides. And I have heartstrings about that. Sometimes I wish that I wasn't so freaking sensitive, but I am enough to the point where it bothers me all day. I have something in me that's going something not right, something just not right, and I already have this other thing going on that's keeping me buzzing on top of that. So all I can do and all I know how to do, because honestly, what can we do as a people is to pray and just try to make some kind of sense out of this. Because even if we did, let's face it, if all of us sit here tonight, all of us, we sit here, we come up with the perfect plan, the four of us, and I bet you by the end of this show, we could, all four of us, we could. It wouldn't matter because nobody's going to listen and nobody's going to do it because every agenda is out for themselves. So at this point, I feel like my hands are tied because I don't like seeing people being blown up. I don't like seeing people fighting over things that just, to me, some things is just the power play. So I'm having trouble with being able to talk intelligently about what's going on other than it being emotional and how I feel emotional. Those are two separate things, I know, but right now I can't separate those. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That is what is bothering me the most, because I see bad on both sides. And I don't understand how we're ever going to get to peace when no one wants to admit any fault.
I just don't understand why people who lost the 6-Day War basically squatted on the land. It's like if I win a decree in court of a piece of property and you go and bring your whole family and you just live in my, I don't get it. And then we decide, well, let's split it and have a 2-state solution. And you go, oh, I don't know. I want all of it. I want yours too. And that's just, you can't move forward with it. It's also really strange that we've been giving aid to the Palestinians since 2007 or something, when Hamas took over and has been in authority for them in Gaza, but they don't get any of it. But then Hamas has an office in Qatar. I mean, what the actual does that mean? What it means is some of those princes and stuff are in on the take. It's like, is Palestine, this whole concept, just a place to launder money? Is that why it's just keep it all up so the chaos and they can just shift money everywhere they want? Because aid and whatever, something that's not right. Because
but that's where I also have a problem, is the fact that we have gone over there and we have said we stand with a side. Okay, we're going to stand with this side regardless, but still yet we're trying to give aid. We're sending aid in. To me, that's like a two-faced bald lie.
But the UN always has to send in aid. That is part of the solution. The UN has an actual, when I interviewed.
But then why vote? Because we voted no and they turned their backs on us.
Who voted no?
We, as a part of the UN, the only one out of like 198 countries that voted to have a ceasefire and have aid. We're the only one that said no, but yet we're still talking about we're going to send stuff in. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm lost. I want to know why, and I don't think I'm ever going to know why.
Well, I think because we're autonomous. Look at where we are located positionally. We can afford to say no. Nobody else can.
But still yet we're sending tanks. You see what I'm saying? Why would we send tanks and ammunition and all this stuff and do this too? It doesn't, something's not clicking.
It isn't clicking because how much more they need to get the hostages. Nobody's protesting to get any hostage out. Disgusting. There have been no people marching down the streets to get actual human beings. God only knows how many are really alive. People should be ashamed of themselves because it has not been fair on that end either. I mean, what people actually think that Israeli people are disposable and dispensable. Clearly, that's what what did they say? 52% people here in America are thinking, because they're thinking with this emotional sense, and they also don't know the history of it.
And that is why it's really
but
important
it's
for
time
me
to
right now
understand
to
it and
learn.
go take a course. There's plenty. Coursera has some. It's just on the policies. You know, this stuff, if you even go and even in your church, see, it's kind of crazy for people who claim to have been in sitting in church. What have y'all been learning? It's all been about Israel, all been about that piece of land and where Jesus is supposed to come back at. That's it. This is it. So for me, it's been like astounding because I was always fascinated with this, always. Because for me, I told you all, I lost my faith like a few with what I went through. I've had struggles with it, but this and seeing some kind of prophecy starting to unfold, yeah, I kind of went like, oh, okay, this might actually very well be actual truth to it, because this is deep. Deep is like, it's tribal deep. And everybody will, as the Bible said, you will have to pick a side.
That's where my problem is. Okay, we understand that that's root deep. We know that. I know because I'm just now learning.
And
all
you will
this
have
stuff.
to pick a side. The Bible, even in the Great Tribulation, they say, God even mentions it'll be very difficult for women. He felt bad for women who will be having babies. I mean, if you were prepared, that Bible was there to suit you up for the battle. It wasn't here just to be like kumbaya, that we're suited up. If you're a Christian, you know that.
Well, I do know that, but I also know there's a lot of contradictions within the Bible as well. I mean,
there are, but the prophecies of Daniel and some of them, and I mean, let's be honest, perhaps maybe everybody has brought about the manifestation of Armageddon because everybody has been focused on it too. There's that energy if you want to go new age on it. But truly, if you even just go on the basis of the 6-day war, they lost. And they've moaned all along about how Israel beat them in the war. And they've been fighting ever since. And it's just maddening. It's just like, I've dealt with it my whole life and I'm 61. It's like, I don't get it. And what is worrying me is that we have people now being killed here, whether it be a Palestinian child and also a Jewish woman who's the president of the synagogues. But the most thing that's the most worrisome for me is that the fidelity to my country is first. But when you have people whose fidelity is first to their religion and what it tells them to do, which some religions are not like others.
and
we can't have.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in here. So I just want to catch up with some conversations here. So Wigmaniac says, good evening, everybody. Green Idol Baby says, wait, exactly, Jill. There's bad on both sides. Black Beauty says, I'm waiting for this to get up here. Come on, come on. It's taking forever. This browser, here we go. This is true, Jill. The Palestinians' terrorist leadership, Hamas, has been playing victim forever. She also says, as we wait for it to come up, our American hostages are still there, so there will be no ceasefire, even for the atheists. Biblical prophecy and history tells us what's happening right now. USA will always stand with Israel.
It will.
Spelled it wrong. So that's, Aisha, do you have anything you want to add on this? Because I'm going to move on from this one.
No, I just spent the week pretty much reading some of the personal stories from different families, and then I needed to take a break because of the seizure. So
I get it. I feel you. Do we want to talk about the freed hostages, or is that encompass already what we've already chatted about?
No, I think we need to acknowledge the fact that we did get 2 of our people back, but you can clearly see on their face that they've been traumatized and no telling what they've been through. My question is why? I'm glad. I'm not saying that I'm not happy that they're free, but something about that even seems strange. Why would you just release 2 Americans
I think I
And
might be
Because
able
you
to
have
answer
to
that.
ask what the
I
father does
think I
for
might
a
be able
living.
to answer that question though, and why those two in particular, because
Yeah.
the night before they're obviously watching American media, because the night before the relative of those two women, his those are his wife's relatives. He was on MSNBC talking about them, and then like within like 6 7 hours, they released those two people. So I think it might be that they were watching American media and
Very
figuring that
interesting.
because this person was on television, they might be able to get some kind of attention or something for releasing those two.
You have to
Wow.
ask those sheikhs in Qatar. I don't know what their family members do for a living or investments. I also heard something really wild that all investments that most of the new tech industry that was in Palestine currently, they had, I think, been getting like $10 million in investments that was already coming into their country. All of that stuff is frozen. It's like Hamas does them no favors either. They've been trying to build their own country, and this is but for some reason, they can't figure out how to get rid of them either. And that is why I'm proposing that it's more than just getting rid of something. It's an entity that's outside of itself that actually manipulates this whole Palestine thing. And that's what all of the Arab tribal people should be getting together and figuring it out. But I don't believe they do it because they're in on the take too. So it's just a way to be dirty. It's like they're dirty girls when they join on that side, and then they go and go and do whatever their religious stuff is about. But then they have that dark side. You understand? It's like they are two-faced. End of story.
Well, that's why I don't see any resolution. I just don't. I mean, when you have people who even will smile at one another in the sake of pretending like they're going to have peace and already plotting the next step, I don't see how this is going to resolve itself in any kind of way. And the danger is that we have clearly drawn lines in the world with BRICS and with everything else coming up. We are clearly at war. We are getting ready to be at a world war. Someone is waiting to force the hand, and I think that's why they were shooting and that's my personal opinion, is remember this week our Navy intercepted some missiles, and there was really no reason for those missiles to come out of that where it came from. And it was to me like they were trying to force everyone's hand to start something. But that's my personal opinion. Like I said, I'm still educating myself on this, and I guess I'll be educating myself for a long day, because this is not something you can just pick up a book and go, oh, I understand, because it's deep.
I mean, I don't think that I understand it all of it, everything of nuance of it either. But if you even look at how it kind of started with like when oil was kind of discovered with the Bedouin tribes, they were kind of forced into the Western world in a weird way because we needed their oil. And then nobody really understood tribally that these people did not like those people. And all along through history and the Jews' exodus many times and all these things that we do know from passages historically, that the Jews have been migrating for like the whole of their existence. And so that part of it is that's what kind of precipitated at one point when the bankers who were like the Rothschild family and then other people who were involved were kind of like hesitant, said, we need our own place. We need to have something, because they were being slaughtered and genocide and blah, blah, blah. And so there's nothing wrong logically with like, we've got to have a place to hang our hats. But now you're looking at Saudi Arabia and the Arab countries. At one point, they are going to not have any oil, and everybody knows this. So they're trying to shore up more investment, investing in American companies. And in my opinion, what we need to do is start sending some of them home and start killing those investments, because we have to really make some sacrifices that are hard. I mean, I'm sure that Teddy Roosevelt these are things that even he talked about. Was it FDR or was it Teddy? One of them was about, you have to make some hard choices. This is about our democracy and our country. And there may be some things that have to go. I don't think that this whole thing with Citibank and X and all of them, and their involvement, it is an ideology at this point and a group of countries that I don't think we can really trust them, in all honesty. I don't think they've proven their love to us. It's like,
and that is one of the points. Like, okay, so at some point you got to understand you're sleeping with a snake in that head. When you cut that head off, another one's just going to pop up. So it's a really. And here's the thing. Let me just. I'm trying not to. And this is what I don't want to do. But here's one thing. I don't want to be made, and I'm going to say this right now. I don't want to be made to feel like I'm being anti anything when I feel that I'm still learning things, or I feel for both sides. I don't want to be called anti-Semitic. I don't want to be called pro this, pro that, when actually, to me, it's the humanity. Because more so, the politics, all right, yeah, that's going to be there forever. But there are innocent people and babies being killed. So, my soul, since I worry about them. And I'm not going to be made to feel guilty about that. When someone actually said that to me, well, then you're just not standing with Israel. I said, that has nothing to do with standing with either side, having compassion about those who are innocent, who are dying. Yeah, their government is screwing them over on both sides, I think. But, I'm still going to not stop being compassionate about what is actually happening to the people who have their boots on the ground and they're being displaced. I'm just not going to be sorry for that.
Okay.
I think everybody, I just want to say,
Jill.
everybody has some compassion on this. Nobody is thrilled to see animals being killed. Like, I'm so upset about the cats and the dogs, and it really breaks my heart. And then the babies. And those are the things that, mean a lot to me in this world. But the saddest part is, like, these are countries. This is like, I don't know when everybody got so soft. And personally, I'm really kind of sick of beating up on Lady Liberty at this point. This is about us too and our survival. So, this is like when the wolf is at the door. We can be compassionate to a degree, and that's fine. But don't be a fool, because we really have to be smart and strategic. And I think Biden's doing a hell of a job at trying to corral all these egos. And we're talking egos that are dated back in the old era. There's no women anymore to have any conversation with. These are all men with, and throwing them all on the table. All of them. They're all showing all their. And this is a problem too. Because when you get that, you got to walk on tender hooks, because that's where this is coming from. They don't care about babies and kids and women. We're the least of their thoughts. But I'm not going to stand up here and think that, the fact that nobody's marched for the return of these poor, hostages. For me, I find it to be disgusting that I have not seen that. And I've seen just the opposite. This is, and everybody is parsing what they say. It's just not really on, because I think, this war is war, and it's never been fun. Look at how, the IRA used to be, and, with the Catholics and the Protestants, it was bad. But we're really, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we will change but like I said, I'm tired of beating up on America. I think it makes us look weak now. We need to come together and be tough.
Okay,
Aisha,
well, that
you
leads
want to add
to the next story, don't it?
Well, that's what I was trying to segue to. Aisha, you want to add anything? Okay, I'll just have two comments that were quick here, just recent. It takes a while. Okay, the mother and daughter hostages were released due to the mother having some type of medical issues. And then Green Eyed Little Bailey says, While we're in someone else's business, our shores will be left open for attack again. We haven't learned from 9/11 to keep our guard up. Okay, let's go to our next conversation piece, talking about some things that are going on in the American shores, I think. What is going on with Aisha? I knew I'd get a smile from you if I introduced this next conversation topic. GOP drops Jim Jordan as the House Speaker. Circus drags on. No better word than circus. What? That was quite an entertaining week, wasn't it? Bless you. Who wants to start?
Excuse me.
Bless you. Are you allergic to Jim Jordan, Jill?
No.
No.
I didn't know that. I didn't know. Who wants to start off with this one? I think there'll be a more lively conversation on this one. Who wants to start?
Just two things. The first is that it's obvious he's not qualified for the job, because the speaker, one of the things the speaker has to know how to do is count votes. You're going in the opposite direction. There were 20 people, then 22, then 20. He lost 3 additional people on that last vote that had voted for him. That tells you something. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and I said this in our Discord, if you are busy trying to impeach the current president, you have no business being second in line to the presidency. And then the last thing I'm going to say about this is the tactics, the bullying tactics, the threatening people, having Sean Hannity's producer call and issue death threats to people. That's not the way that you go about this. It's just flat out wrong. But this man he had no business being there. And it's like, I'm glad that he got embarrassed 3 times was enough for him. He didn't have to go the full Kevin McCarthy route.
I think he really thought he was going to get it. I think he saw what happened with Kevin McCarthy was going to happen with him, and people were going to break down. And someone actually yelled at Gates and told him to sit down or something, and told him to get out. Something. This is just okay. I posted today on my Facebook a page of the House of Representatives and the Senate full of clowns, because that's exactly what we got. And touching on what Jill said, yes, I know I don't want to keep beating up on America. I want us to be running, but we're not. And we're weak because these idiots want something totally different than protecting our country. Every chance they get to screw Americans, they do. They do. And then they screw each other over. So how are we going to survive this when we're not even close to being divided?
This is the worst time for us to not have leadership, when we're helping to manage this conflict overseas and we don't have any leadership. And remember, a lot of what we're going to be doing in support of Israel is going to come down to funding. Well, guess who makes the determination about funding? The House of Representatives. They're not going to make any kind of determination about funding, because guess what? They don't have a speaker to bring even a vote to the floor on the funding for anything. It's ridiculous.
But what was amazing with what Biden did do when he decided to wrap this all in one little bow, he actually gave them there's some incentives in the package that they want. I've forgotten what they are specifically, but there's like 5 good chunks of stuff that he gave up to give to them. You know, everything is a quid pro quo in our government.
Well, he knows how to.
I'm sure they'll go for it. The problem is that only the speaker can bring those things to the floor. There's no
I think
speaker.
they're going to find a speaker. I think they might. I think they're going to find somebody. I really do.
I think it'll probably be another week and a half before they do, because as it is, they've got 10 people right now. On the Republican side, they can't even decide. And when they have the majority of votes,
it's all on the table again over there too. That's
exactly.
You know,
it's like.
And meanwhile, I'm loving me some Jasmine Crockett all day long. Okay, she calls them out like no tomorrow, and I love her. We need more of her.
What I don't like though is that the Republicans, this is your chaos. This is your mess. Own it. Don't blame Democrats. Democrats are doing what Democrats are going to do. Democrats are in line for the first time in a long time. why would Democrats vote for any Republican when they all have agreed to their candidate? It is less
Exactly.
of a lift. It is less of a heavy lift for 5 Republicans to join the Democrats than it was for Jim Jordan to get 25 people to vote for him. It's like, why are you saying, well, if the Democrats, just a few Democrats vote with Republicans, we can get a speaker? Why do they have to make the compromise? Why do they have to take the knee? Why don't
Well,
you
it's
do it?
not
Exactly.
even historically
The
done that
Democrats seem to be well organized because they all are in line behind their one person.
That's
You all are
right.
the ones who can't make up your mind. You done went with Scalise, and then you pressured him with these FEC violations and trying to out that. You came with Jim Jordan. Some of y'all were with him the first day, but 2 days later you weren't with him, and you can't decide. And then you're just throwing names into a hat. Some of these people, somebody nominated John Boehner. Come on, you all can't decide. We're
Oh,
supposed to. We're
wow.
supposed to. We're supposed to trust you with leadership. Come on.
You know who I
Wow.
think what would be a great ticket to run on would be Newsom and Dan Goldman.
You think so?
I love them both. I love Dan Goldman as his first House of Representatives. He's smart and he's an attorney that's just quick as a whip. I do like, I like that. You know, I have my issues with Hakeem Jeffries because when he was being groomed by Nancy Pelosi, his sector in Brooklyn fell off. So I don't like his office because I've had to deal with them and they don't return phone calls and they're not that helpful. So once that happened to me, I deleted him from asking me for money. I was like, bloop, bye. Because if you, Newsom's office returns stuff, you ask
Yeah. Now I will say Newsom's office is on top of it.
on top. They really, and everybody should. So with this Jasmine girl, Crockett, I love her. She gets to the point. She's also got this very good, she's got charisma. And
Remember,
charisma.
she got arrested too. Remember, Governor Abbott arrested the Tennessee
He
Democrats
did, remember
when they
that?
were in the House because they did not want to. Tried to call them into session on something, and they were like, "No, we're not doing this."
Yeah,
He
she's
tried to force
fantastic.
him.
And she puts it in such layman terms that, people relate, and even the people from the South get it when she's talking because she
Yeah.
knows how to read the room. And, she's not like Rachel Tlaib who like beats us to death with like, her Quran. It's like, oh my God, and her headscarf. It's like, I can't handle her anymore. This woman has lost her mind.
Okay. Green-eyed little baby says this. Who is the black guy wanting to throw his hat in? Do you know any black gentleman wants to throw his hat in? I don't know of any.
Oh, it's that somebody threw one of the conservative. There's like 4 new conservative black men in the House.
I know. What's his name?
I don't know. That's how much we need to know. We don't know.
I think it's like Buddy Booty.
Okay.
He's like always up, Mr. Buddy Boy. We've dealt with him before. Remember, he tried to get nominated before. Remember when Kevin McCarthy, he had a moment where
Byron Donalds.
That's it.
Yeah, he's back again.
Well, Jasmine jumped on that one too. Somebody asked her that question. She said, come on now. They're not going to let no black man in that position. She said, no way. There's no way. And she just was very clear about it. She said, ain't no black man in that position.
They won't even nominate a woman. Notice they have not nominated
they
a woman
put
on that.
Stefanik up, which I thought.
Oh, Stinky Stefanik. I think that they need to just leave. I think that it's a mess over there. It is just a mess. And that's what, regardless of how you feel about Hakeem Jeffries or not, the fact is that he has the votes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. The bottom line is we have to get rid of this.
No, that's my personal problem.
We got to get rid of we got to get rid of the congressional map.
Old ladies leaving their freaking houses in his district, and his people, his staff is iffy.
But we got to get rid of the congressional map, though, because this thing about whoever gets to 217 first, we can sit in this all day. At this point, it needs to be majority rules. Hakeem's had the majority for 3 days, and it was the funniest thing because now Republicans have taken this. They're so embarrassed they flip this to this talking point that says Hakeem Jeffries lost 18 times, lost the bid for speaker
Yeah, they're
18 times.
stupid. Yeah.
Wait a second. What do you mean he lost the bid for 18 times? He had all his people.
Right.
Losing is when you don't have your people in line
Kevin
for a
McCarthy
speakership.
lost 17, 18 times.
But
There you go.
Jim Jordan embarrassed himself. He was the one who was insisting on going into that vote. And I'm gonna tell you this: they were supposed to push it back to 8 o'clock that night, which was the same time that Joe Biden was about to deliver his thing. I promise you that was not a Republican thing. That was Donald Trump made a phone call and said, I want you to compete with me and take some of the thunder and steal some of the spotlight from him. Because you know who is upset about all this stuff more than anybody is Donald Trump. Because if Israel's not stealing headlines from him, it's Jim Jordan and the House of Representatives in their chaos. He can't get a coverage worth a people barely want to cover his trial. And he's so upset about all this. He's rapid firing posts on Truth Social, 41 posts in an hour and a half, because he's upset and he's throwing a tantrum. So you know what? All this chaos that's going on in the House of Representatives is good for Democrats. Keep it coming.
It really is.
Okay, so some other comments. Green Eyed Old Baby says the GOP are blank out in the 45 clown card. Our country is screwed.
I know.
And Black Beauty says, unfortunately, this is a reflective of the Republican Party being influenced by 45. Praying that there'll be a legal recourse for our president to get monies appropriated to disperse money to Israel.
And we have money that's supposed to go to Zelensky and Ukraine, and they roped in Taiwan, which means everybody should get ready, because that means they are feeling a certain kind of way about how that's working out. And I heard that the reason that they're asking so much is because they don't know what the state of the house is, that they just want to get enough money that it will go through the next couple changeovers, because next year they know is going to just be a show.
And don't forget, in 15 days, there will be another shutdown. So
and it's going to be right at the wire.
I think this time they're going to actually shut it down.
Yeah, I do too. I really do.
Absolutely. I agree. I have a feeling it's going to shut down this time. Well, but the question is, will there even be a leader of the House by that time?
I think it would be a big mistake. And I think that they need to really concentrate on the temperament of the people in this country. We have people going around.
They don't care.
Judges. No, they need to care. They need to care, because now
they need to. Needing to is one thing, but they don't. I mean, that they've proven that they don't care. Think about it. All this really is a power grab. They edged Kevin McCarthy out on purpose. They put that little clause in there on purpose because they want MAGA control of this house. And that's what this is. They don't care about people. They don't care if families are not going to have what they need to have to take care of their rent and a lot of them
are constituents.
They just care about power.
A lot of them are constituents in areas where there's military bases. And I can tell you, 10,000 people deployed out. And there are MAGA families who have family members out there. They are going to want something swift, fast, and in a hurry.
But
because you're not even getting, they won't even be getting their checks. They won't be getting any checks.
Lindsey Graham has an army base in his district. Lindsey Graham was in the military. He still does not care. He still voted against funding the 9/11 veterans. So they don't care. That's just the bottom line.
They should. Everybody is. I don't know. Like I said,
they should. Because you would think that there are people
law here where you don't need banning our assault weapons, like that got turned over the other day here in California. I am saying there are certain things that will tip this country all the way over, and they better start paying attention, because if that's what they want, then we're definitely headed there. So then I would say, get your boots on and everything, folks, because it's going to be a hell of a ride. But if they want to be politicians, then they better start acting like them and get it done, because this is not gonna, you know what, why I say that is because everybody one day is siding with each other, and then the next day there's something else that comes around and challenges what you believed yesterday, and then you're siding with enemies. It's like at one point in this week, I was like reminded of when Finland, attacked by Germany, Finland, attacked by Russia, had to make a deal with Germany in order to help Germany fight Russia to save it in the war, or however it works. So here's my whole point. That's where all of the alliances shift, and they're very quick. We know that from how the Kurds had to navigate in the middle of their. And sometimes you know about it in a schoolyard brawl when you're just a girl in high school, and there's a lot of different people in with mean girls, and you got to shift, shape, quick, fast, in a hurry. This is what's happening, and people got to we got a bunch of mean girls in Congress, and they better figure out how to deal with it.
But see, the problem with their voters is this: they have been, they always will. Like the last 50 years, Republican voters have been voting against their own best interest.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter if there are
and
military
Democrat
families.
voters don't even get up and bother
military,
to go. So
you know, it doesn't matter if they're military families or whatever. If you still ask them, are you going to vote for the Democrats?
We lost the House
they're willing to do
because
that.
our Democratic voters didn't bother to get up and vote. They knew how serious it was. I will never get over how they're responsible for this. I mean, partially, because they couldn't be asked to do it. It's ridiculous. Yeah, okay. But they didn't show up. Both of them. You got a lazy bunch over here, and you got an overzealous lot on the right. But then you got the other ones on the left who want to give a bunch of lip service, but don't even bother to get up and vote. I can't tell you how many vapid young people exist in this country. Lately, I've been working on something and having an opportunity to see. And let me tell you something. They ain't even talking about Israel. They ain't even talking about the house. They're talking about their eyeshadow and their nails and their eyelashes. This is serious. They're talking about, oh, that looks like a husband's car. It's a really curious observational thing. And I will keep you all abreast of it later, but it's frightening as those are.
Well, I mean, I've been reading some of the things with Gen Z and their views on work. Anyway, it's very interesting and disheartening. And I told you guys the story. I think this was after the show. I told you the story where my friend, one of the Gen Z people that works for her, was like, "You don't understand my love language at work."
And that whole love language book, like we went through before, but they'd rather talk about it. And this is not, I'm talking out of my behind. I am saying there is going to be, it's documented. It's frightening. And if you, one with the big lips and like, what are you talking about in my district? What happened? Couldn't believe it. Can't believe it, but they want to cancel somebody in a second, and they want to jump all over your ass if you don't call them the right pronoun. It's like, get the together, because you all will be in gulag by the time you're 35. End of it. This is really a serious case that's going on here. Really serious. We're in serious decline.
Okay.
It's more than just the House. The House represents what the state of America is.
Green-eyed little, before we move on, green-eyed little baby says, I don't agree to the money going anywhere, but here Americans are suffering. Those billions would help us.
Americans are suffering because they choose to suffer after a certain point.
Let me just tell you about our economy and how it works and our appropriations. If you ever read any of our appropriations bill, know that 60% of our gross domestic product in our federal government it's with any state government as well, goes to salaries. So
Yeah.
Trust and believe this. We have the money that is dedicated to helping our national security, and that is why we send the money overseas, because it protects us here, so we don't
It's
have to
only
have
like 3% of our budget.
it's how we avoid having those wars over there come and being fought over here. That's the first thing. But the second thing too is that our politicians do not want people to have anything because they have racism, sexism, all kinds of isms in their beliefs. We have this Horatio Alger train of thought, this pull yourself up by your bootstraps, is why they. Do you know what people? I mean, honestly, people who get Social Security. Like, one of my favorite lines from any episode of Good Times is, Social Security is not enough to live on, it's enough to die on, because we don't, and people contribute far more than they ever get back. So trust and believe, we have money. It's where the money goes to. Think about it. If we actually charge corporations and wealthy people the right percentage in taxes, and then didn't give them major refunds, why did Donald Trump get a $5 million refund last year if he's supposed to be a billionaire? Why did all these corporations? One of these corporations got like a couple $100 million back. Okay, so rather than complaining where we're sending money to elsewhere, remember, that's for our national security. What we need to be focused on and we need to be complaining about is our tax structure here, and why people who make over $200,000 a year are paying 30-40% of their income, when people who make hundreds of $millions pay less than 1%. That is the problem.
But, we also have to deal with the simple fact that a lot of our investments and people, the last couple of years during the pandemic, people were hustling and on crypto and actually looking like chickens with their heads cut off, like just like looking for that greed, that money, that this. And someone was telling me the other day that there's a shortage of doctors and nurses. And then the friend that I was talking to was saying, nobody wants to work. They're going on the metaverse. They got OnlyFans pages. And I was like, what? I found out about a few people that I knew who are, now here's the thing. I'm old, right? And I have old friends who just are old people who live in different parts in rural areas. And guess they got OnlyFans too. These folks, this is a subculture that's going on. And people are like, I'd rather, I'll do whatever it takes to be online. There's no real, who cares? Who's going to see it? I can pay my bills. I don't need to go to an office. It's actually happening. And so we have that too. Nobody is like $20 an hour. Are you kidding? I can do something really lewd online and get paid $150 for like a 3-minute act. It's actually, and these are not like, I'm not saying they're like the most, all shapes, all sizes, feet, all of it. That is a big condition, a big problem.
Well, you know what? If you want to be rich, you can always go to Congress.
Okay. All right. There you go.
I'll have to do it.
There you go. So Black Beauty says, one thing's for sure. America can cease to exist if we ever think we're no longer required to help our allies. Translated, few will care if we're all starving, guaranteed.
That's true.
Wigmaniac says, ditto. And Wigmaniac also says, voter apathy. Okay, so what we're going to do
my
here.
concern is with the Israeli thing and the Palestinian thing that we lose some steam here, because we've got mothers, and I know a few mothers who act like they're the first people to ever have children, and they're activists. They're activist mothers now, and we're going to fight, and this is not fair, and all the children, and they used to be like stylists before in New York with, rock stars. And now all of a sudden they're like, activists. It's just like, and in their ivory towers, rich women who step down to help the needy. And that is such a turnoff, guys. It is such I've got a charity and I'm trying to raise money, and that is too much. We're peddling in this, patting each other on the back, and we're getting nothing absolutely done. We've got to get people out there voting to really make a difference. But I know many rich people who smile in your face and pretend ha 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 he, and they love that tax break that they get because they make over. They love it. Well, and guess what? They'll keep voting for it. Don't think that they don't, because they do. Otherwise, don't
speaking about people who get tax breaks, back-to-back plea deals pose grave legal threat to 45.
His house is crumbling and I'm loving it. It's not crumbling fast enough for me, but at least something's crumbling. But like Aisha said, he can keep this going forever. I mean, they can keep throwing stuff in there. But what I do love is how the judges are really like, nah, we're not doing this. You know, like they really are kind of slapping his hands a little bit. And I do appreciate that. And I don't think there's anything kind of sneaky going on with that at all. I do think we do have some good judges in the situation. And we're seeing that. But here's the thing that was very interesting to me that he said this week, because, you know, he always says things for a reason. Everything he says it for a reason. It's like secret code or whatever. You notice my bro man said, I'll go to jail if it means that I, you know, am standing up for justice. Now you're going to jail because you're guilty. And so now you want to try to make you look like you're some kind of martyr. But he actually said that out of his mouth. He'll be happy to go to jail.
That's because he's thinking club fed, right? No, what it is, what he forgets is that you got that Georgia case, and that Fulton County jail is no joke with the bed bugs killing folks and stuff. No, they're not going to put you in a nice little decorated cell with a gold toilet. They're going to put you in there with Bubba, who wants you to be his girlfriend, and your Secret Service person standing outside.
She'll never do that. She will never do that.
Who?
I mean, Fani. And if she does, even doing that, I don't even know. I mean, you can only defile, like, really, where she won't do it. I know she won't. Because
she doesn't have she won't be able to because she doesn't get to determine that. That would be the judge that would determine that.
Everybody gives him the gag order and all this other stuff, but ain't no judge going to do that right now. These judges have to walk around. No, they won't do it. And I wouldn't advise them to. These, I'm telling you, people are at their wits' end, at their last tether. You can hear the conversations. They're not getting any benefit. Jerome Powell almost the other day came out and said he was thinking of getting ready to raise the interest rates. I think he viscerally felt everybody cussing him out from the minute we saw it come on the news. And he pulled back and said, I don't know, maybe I'm going to wait. Because even he was like, what the, you know, it's like, you can only like keep us. Because now we're like, it's trauma. Every single day you open up anything, trauma.
Well, I'm going to admit that this week, for the first time in a very long time, I decided I wasn't going to pick up my phone. I actually left my phone and iPad in another room and just sat on the patio and just sat there and watched the rain. I have not been so peaceful
I know.
in a long time. These things are freaking traumatic. Exactly what you said, Jill. Everything is traumatic. Everything you look at from the beginning of the morning is clickbait and death, doom, and death, murder. I am telling you, I'm going to do more of what I did this week because I need that peace in my life.
Then you got to put on a detective researcher outfit to get through it. Go, is this true? Did this happen? What happened?
Right.
I mean, 45, like one interestingly weird thing like that's been worrying me. And I heard a few campaign people talking about it on, I don't know if it was the Bulwark podcast or somebody was talking about the simple fact that people do not, first of all, they're not crazy about Biden's age. They're not crazy about Kamala. That is the general sentiment. It hasn't changed. Many women are just disappointed with her.
Yeah.
people are scared he's going to die in the next term. But one other factor that this, it was a strategist person in campaign stuff. The biggest thing that's worrying everybody because of the Palestine thing is that we already had that percentage of people who Biden got just because they hated Trump so much. But there's now you add in this whole part where they're so upset about what's going on and all this other stuff. You know, they could just very well not show up. Is that whole sector goes, and those margins of people who were independents were very key to some districts of how he won. So they really it's amazing what he's doing. And I know people keep making fun of him, like he gets disoriented on stage. I'd be disoriented. I mean, after flying, how many times has he flown back and forth to Israel, y'all?
But
Oh,
you know,
Lord.
I'll
I
say
wouldn't
this,
even know what day it is.
Like he comes back, I know, right?
But from what I've actually seen, we're actually more likely to not see Democrats show up than those independents. Those independents are really committed to not getting Trump back in office.
I hope
They're gonna show up. The last couple of polls that I saw where they actually looked at independents, because the other thing too is that when you look at those polls and you look at the political parties that they say of people who vote, one or two independents is what they use to judge all independents. And then most of the people that they're polling are Republican, not Democrat. So that's where a lot of that skewing comes from. But the independents, when you look at polls that look only at independent voters, okay, they only poll independent voters. Those independent voters are solidly behind Biden because they do not like Trump. They really do believe in democracy and when you look at some of their qualitative data where they talk about, it was what he said about getting rid of the Constitution, it's the corruption, I'm
trying to figure out, is he going to be able to run? Why aren't we just
those things,
right? Why should he be
those
running?
are those things, right? Well, you know, he's got 2 states right now that have cases trying to not get him in the ballot. Colorado's going to end up without him on the ballot, I promise you, because their stuff is looking real good, and Michigan is right behind them.
That's the truth,
so, right? So if he's already in 2 competitive states, doesn't get on the ballot, and he ends up having to be a write-in candidate. Most people don't realize that you can write in a candidate on your ballot, so they just do forced choice.
Yeah, they do.
And so if you can't win 2 states, if you're only competitive in 48 states here, dude, how are you going to win?
Yeah, you're right.
Especially when one of those states can be a swing state, which is Michigan.
Yeah.
So true.
So do we see more people going for plea deals in the area of 45 going to trial?
Put it this way. Bonnie is known for this with her RICO cases. There are 2 big RICO cases that she has. One still going on, one that she did, and she had more people in those cases than she did in this one. She got down from like 26 and 35 down to 5 people who went to trial or are going to trial. Okay. And those people that are going to trial, remember, she doesn't take, what I read was that Bonnie does not take plea deals unless the people are going to testify against the trial will go to court. So when you have a RICO case and you got 18 of your defendants, 18 of your co-defendants testifying against you, that is all but a guaranteed conviction. I can tell you the last 3 people who will be standing will be Eastman, Rudy, and Trump. Those are the last 3 that are not going to bend. But I'll tell you, if they were smart, those 2 black folks would deal. Right now, homeboy's out here talking big out like he's going to do something, and Bonnie's like, try me.
For real.
Yeah, I know Bonnie's like, yeah, come on, I'm ready.
I didn't hear that. Whoa. He didn't seem like the sharpest tool in the tool shed, right, y'all? I mean, what is up? Why would he?
She's like, try me, because remember you got a federal case. And you know what is going to be even what's going to be even worse is that we're going to talk about these gag orders. That to me right there is going to be some interesting stuff too, because remember, Chutkin was on point. I
True.
forgot that most judges don't put in and state crimes, but she acknowledged the fact that he's being tried in other states, 2 other states. She put state crimes in his gag order thing, or
And
in
that's
his bail revocation.
Okay.
And by
Okay.
violating those gag orders, he committed state crimes.
I'm gonna flip that topic on the screen because you're already talking about it. So I'm 1 minute I hear there's a gag order, next minute I hear there's not a gag order. Where does that stand right now?
along with everything else we talked about tonight, we don't know.
Right.
Chutkin has election interference. I think that I'm not sure. I got to look at which one is, because remember, she's got two. What I learned yesterday was that she's got 2 Trump election interference cases before her, one civil, one criminal. The criminal one is with Jack Smith. The civil one was randomly assigned to her this week, which was the one from Michigan. The NAACP is suing Trump for trying to vacate the votes of people in Detroit.
Wow.
So she's got 2 cases in front of him. It would behoove him
To shut up.
to shut up and not mention her again. But then
He can't.
this
can't.
fool, the judge in New York is like fit to be tied, because he told him to take down that post about his clerk. Trump thought he was slick. He took it down from Truth Social, but left it up on his own personal website for 18 days.
That I saw.
Media people found out and reported on it. And then they also sent the information to the judge, and the judge fined him, but he said, test me again, and prison is an option. And so,
wow.
by violating that gag order, he committed a crime in the state of New York. So Chutkin she can actually initiate a full gag order on him, because she also wrote that in her decision, is that Jack Smith doesn't even have to bring up a motion. She can initiate it from the bench if she finds just cause. And so there's that. But guess what? It also goes against his bail in Georgia.
I'm loving it.
So it's like, so it would behoove him to shut his mouth, but also too his appeal. He filed an appeal on something in Chutkin's case, and it comes out his attorney is not even licensed by the bar to practice in DC.
Wait, I missed that part.
The attorney that filed the paperwork. So now hopefully he has an attorney that's licensed there now that can ask for a continuance so that they can file this paperwork, because they waited to the deadline and then filed paperwork with a lawyer who's not licensed to practice law in DC. His stuff is sloppy.
It's always been sloppy.
It's flying flagrantly in the faces of people because he thinks he's too good, he thinks he's too powerful, and he really does believe that he is going to win, and it's going to keep him out of prison.
But y'all, have y'all checked out any of his speeches lately? My man is getting worse and worse every day. He's like,
but he's telling you, but look, he's telling you why.
Ridiculous.
He is telling you why he ran for the presidency in the first place. Every time he mentions Barack Obama's name, Barack Obama is living rent-free in that man's head, because he is still embarrassed. He is still embarrassed about how Trump found him.
He's still talking about
2015 at the 2015
Come on.
press corps
He's
dinner.
still talking about Barack Obama?
But he's still mad about that, because remember, everybody in that room laughed at him. All media people laughed at him. All people in the government laughed at him. And he's still mad about that, because every time he turns around, well, we beat Obama. No, you didn't run against Obama. Okay, fine. Well, Barack Hussein Obama. Hussein. You got to say it.
And that
Hussein.
he just
And
continues.
he's like,
I
well,
mean,
that's Joe's real boss. No, that you still cannot get over the fact that black man became president and then clowned your publicly, and it was aired on television, and everybody laughed at you.
yep.
But it just shows you how old they really are. Like, can we get some young people running? I mean, the
Thank
reality
you.
is when he says Barack Hussein, as if it this is what's so amazing to me after what
Saddam
I've been
Hussein's
saying
been dead for how long?
young
A lot
people
of these
don't even know about who Saddam Hussein.
That's because most of them are my daughter's age, and they were infants.
That's what I'm saying. They don't. And so what he's doing is aging himself out of relevancy, even for the people that, in fact, I just really am struggling with. I think people aren't paying attention at this point right now because of Israel and Palestine. They're really not.
Well, I know, but
that could work in his benefit, or it could work not. You still have people. This is the thing. They like him. They're not going to not like him. And that's it. Let's stop trying to even embarrass them, talk about them, whatever. They've made up their minds. He's going to be with them till the day they die in their minds and whatever. And, it's the same as how the ideology of the Palestinian Hamas. Why are we always trying to push and bully people into changing? They're not going to. And no one should ever do that. But what you can do is
45 is still mentioning Barack Obama. Wow.
Because it's a trigger word. It's a trigger word for the white people who don't like black people. That's all.
Because remember, MAGA is nothing but a reinvention of the Tea Party. And the Tea Party, their whole thing was that they were just against this black man running for president, period, and becoming president. So the Tea Party, MAGA is nothing but Tea Party 2.0. And remember, Trump was a Tea Partier. People forget. Trump had been going after Obama since the beginning. Because remember, even before that press dinner, he was the one who started the whole birther thing.
Because he knew going back and forth.
And that was the other thing, too, that embarrassed him. Because remember, there was that press conference where he said he had all the media attention standing in front of his plane in Hawaii. And he said he had reports and proof that he was going to unleash the press. And he goes out there and he had goose eggs. And when the press asked him, well, what did they find? Where's this? He said, they found a lot of things. That's all he said. And he got that.
And it only registers to us. It only registers to us. His people believe that he found something and that's it, because his wife, remember, came back and she had his back on that. So that's the media's fault. And the media's part is very
but it's not about changing his people's minds, Joe, because think about this. That man
the media has tried.
It is, but here's the thing about that man himself. He knows well he didn't find anything. He knows he knows
of course
everything. He knows everything is
fraud. Care. It's like
exactly. That's it. He doesn't care. He knows it, and his people are dumb.
When you come out with the intention to lie, your lie is really good usually. You see, he doesn't come out with the intention to tell the truth. His intention is always to slander and tell a lie, because he tells people the dirtiest that they really want to hear. He can read a room quicker than anybody. He's genius at it. And he knows how bloodthirsty his audience is, and he always gives them fresh meat.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like you said, when you come in a room not planning to tell the truth, you forget the lie.
But
like that last press conference that he did outside the courtroom, he's like, "They're forcing me to be here. They're forcing me to be here. They're making me have to be here every day. Are you going to be here tomorrow? Oh no, I got to go to the golf course."
If you would look at his show, The Apprentice, you can see that even some of their decision making in who they wanted to kick off the show was always based around the ratings. But normal people would take it as she's wrong, he's right, she's right, they're right. And there were some situations that you'd go, that was really but that would never happen in business because people would come down on them. There were times he really glorified really inappropriate behavior. And why? Because he started to see and read how people loved it and would say things like, I wish my boss was like that. I wish I could have someone. I wish our president was like this. Where that's where it all was, the gestation of this. It was there. And it was like times like, I even watched the show. It was entertainment. And there were some people that I thought, these people are disgusting. This would never really happen. But what was interesting is it was making so much money and advertising dollars were going into it. And of course, that's, that was part of it. I was sending a lot of ads in that direction. So I'm sorry to say that the world works on money. And even when it's going down the tubes, there's always somebody trying to get a lifeboat and figure out how to make more money on the way out.
And remember too, that show, they initially didn't even want him. They wanted somebody else, but the person turned it down.
And he did a fabulous job. I'm not even going to say. He took it and he ran with it. And he really was that guy that everybody thought, wow, Donald Trump is cool. He's funny. Ha ha, he. I wish I had a president like that. He branded himself geniusly. And let's be honest, all of a sudden, everybody after that was brand. I'm a brand. I'm a brand. You're a brand. Are we brands? Everybody was a brand. And, that was the beginning of the end. But it was new media was happening. All these different mediums were happening. And, people loved to see him talk down to other people. They loved it. And there's a psyche around the people that watched this. Bullying on Facebook went up around when he was right at the height. He was hitting all the marks. It was intense. People were telling everybody to, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. I didn't even think Facebook had figured out we need moderators until really those couple of years were intense. I was arguing with people every day. It was crazy. But it was a whole movement of how we got here, of a very unhappy country of people that were very unhappy and just love to be able to bully one another. And that sadly has not.
Oh, yeah. He brings out the evil in everybody. He gives them permission.
No, he didn't. Yeah, he found it. He knew it was there. He knew it was there.
Of course. He knows how to play into that, but he knew how to play into that long before that. I mean, long before that. Remember the book that he never wrote?
I'm talking about the marketing level of it. This guy clearly made millions and made his deals on these.
And don't forget, he was his own best marketer
ever.
He was his own best marketer because remember, he was calling Forbes saying, hey, you need to look at Donald Trump and put him on your list. He's worth this amount of money. He's calling the Daily News. He's calling the Post. He's calling all these different people as John Barron saying, oh, I've got some dirt about Trump. You got to put this down.
Don't you think we should question Forbes' list? Because the reality is, to be honest,
But remember, Forbes, if you think about Forbes anyway, it's bull because remember, they had Kanye West as one of the highest paid people. When you come to find out that it was because of the deals, he didn't actually have liquid assets. You don't have to have liquid assets to be in their top list, which to me is just bizarre.
I don't know. I think that a lot of the veil has come off on who had what and who what was doing. Forbes marketed itself as the financial experts. My whole point is, where the gestation of Donald Trump, where he, thrives, it's in communication with people. And he will always be able to find somebody in a room that's going to sway to him. That's not how you beat him, though. That's not how we beat him.
Let's get off the 45.
He doesn't mind getting in the gutter.
No, he doesn't.
As long as he doesn't get dirty.
All right. Let's move on to our last conversation piece. We're talking about a federal judge rules again that California's assault weapons ban is unconstitutional. Oh, boy.
All I can say is it happened. We're very upset. And Newsom sent out something for all of us to, get on board and stay tuned.
So just out of curiosity, was this a 45 appointed judge?
I'm not sure.
I'm just very
question.
curious.
My question is this: what is does California? I mean, do you all need to have a new town too for your state to be like, oh yeah, we're going to ban assault weapons? Because that's what it took for us. I don't understand.
This is what Newsom sent out. Gavin Newsom here writing to tell you about something disgraceful that happened last night and to ask for your help. Last night, a right-wing federal judge overturned California's assault weapons ban. In his ruling, as he has done before, he compared an assault weapon to a knife. Now, let me make two things explicitly clear here. California has some of the strongest gun laws in the country, and as a result, we have some of the lowest per capita gun death rates in the country. Unless we pass a constitutional amendment to make our communities safer from gun violence, no gun laws are safe. Not laws passed in California, not laws passed in Congress. So here's why, he's asking for a contribution, of course.
I have a question.
Because every dollar we raise will go towards getting constitutional amendment resolutions. That is something that we have been working on. So
I have a question.
I don't know.
Do you know if the state of California has gun manufacturers that make assault weapons?
Well, we probably do, but don't forget, we're about to go back into our factories to make them because we need to send ammunition to Ukraine and to some of our other NATO people because they've been saying that they're running low on supplies. So I wonder if LaLa came up, and then I heard Joe Biden say, or somebody said, maybe it was his chief of staff, that they are. There will be, that's a source of our job sources there too, that we are going back into some kind of production.
Yeah, because my reason for asking is because if that lobby is probably really strong in your state, but they've been watching what's going on over here. Because when we did the assault weapons ban again right after Newtown, it forced a gun manufacturer that had been here making those weapons out. They relocated to South Carolina. And that's one reason why South Carolina, of course, because it's in the South too, is another reason. But that's one reason why they will never get an assault weapons ban in that state, because the business lobby behind it is too strong. And so I'm wondering what the lobby looks like in California.
I don't know, but sentiment here is about protecting yourself. We are the Wild West in a way. I mean, I went downtown the other night and I've been holding all the time. And it's the most disgusting city in the world, downtown LA. I mean, it's filthy. The parking lots look like you're walking into a dungeon and you're going to get murdered. They're dirty. They're gray. People run up and ask for money. And you think they're the parking attendant. Only one
road is expanding.
It's really bad. It's just not where people need to go. And I feel so sorry for the businesses that are down there that they have to put up with it. And they need to just take a big old truck and just scoop up everybody and just put them in there and take them somewhere. I don't care where. We need maybe get some refugee camps on the border, set it up, let people just take up shop till y'all figure out what you want to do with them. Feed them. I can't, it's too much. This is why the gun lobby could have moved in a little bit, because you don't feel safe. And yeah, you're like, if this is the way we're going to get down, we're going to get down, because I'm like worried about the coyotes that are being overrun in my city. I mean, we have 700,000 coyotes that are just, nobody's doing anything.
Nope.
The mayors are useless. I mean, I get it that people say run for office and whatever, but the reality is if they never even took a civics class, some of these people are just business people and they're wolves in sheep's clothing as well. Yep. They're no good. And Karen Bass, nice enough lady, I guess, but been doing it for how many years? And no, sorry, I didn't mean to call her that, but it's like, you've been doing it for so long. This is too big for you. I don't know if you'll get it done. I don't know what to say. Newsom said he was going to jump in on that, as he should, because this is major. These are situations where the mental stuff going on with this. It's beyond. I think Sigmund Freud would have quit.
Yeah.
I think he would have thrown in the towel and said, I'm not even going to do this with this, because it's bad. It's irreparable, in my opinion. And it's really bad. We lost 300,000 people left Los Angeles last year, 300,000. And at this point, they're already talking about the fact that young people are leaving because they can't afford, they won't be able to afford living here, and nor having families. So you're looking at what's going to happen, a real shift in the youth market. Because why these little gig jobs and these houses, apartments that are like ADUs that are $3,400 a month to rent,
A month.
like 3 people, they look like, you're in what was that, the Grapes of Wrath? People look like they got bunk beds in their bed living rooms, and it's just looking very bad as a quality of life. And I kid you not, if I could avoid, don't go downtown LA. Just don't. They even have the nerve to have a restaurant there where I think a prefix is $800.
Yeah.
At the very top. I mean, are you
Yeah.
when you come downstairs? Like, what kind of person do you have to be to want to go spend money and then come out and see all these people laying around? What do you got? People throwing rose petals in front of you as you walk? It's gross. It brings up
pretty
the
bad.
both sides. It ain't for me.
Pretty bad.
Sorry, they got
and they never got off the ground with these plans that they were going to have these mini homes that were like 300 square feet to put a homeless person in. They were going to use all these shipping crates to turn them into these cool houses.
They took the money.
Never happened.
They took the money and ran. And it gets caught up in the whole housing department of LAHU. And remember all those people who were racist and talking about all the black people who lived here, the council people? The one dude, Kendall or Kevin or whatever his name is, he raised so much money in like an hour that he announced that he was running again. More money than ever. And here's the thing. These people are still here. The woman who got fired is on somebody's podcast trying to explain that she wasn't racist about it. But I'm telling you, you go all the way past like Alvarado, it's creeping all the way up. Hancock Park is dangerous as people getting held up by gun. It's like South Africa, and it looks like a bunch of shanty towns here in LA. So Newsom better get on the good foot and get it together, because people have made new decisions, and there's new alliances happening and Karen just can't hang. She can't do it.
She's not handling it.
She can't.
Okay, that is
She
it for
went
this
around taking
evening.
names of all the homeless. I'm sorry, I saw a new group of homeless people today in Santa Monica, freshly new. I mean, you know how I know they're freshly new? Because the blonde, her roots were done. Like, she was with her friend. She looked like she was had been a model at one point, living on the street.
All right.
With her suitcases.
That's it.
It's not funny,
The thing is, California isn't the place to be. So, Los Angeles. So we're going to end it off on that. I want to thank everyone for their time tonight, whether you're watching live or on the replay or listening on the replay. I want to thank the ladies as always. 2 weeks in a row, they're all together. Miracles happen. Love it. I love it. So before we let them be on their way, we'll let them say a final au revoir. So first up, LaLa Key is first in the house. If this thing ever would transfer over, there we go. All right, we got it. Here we go.
You can find me everywhere at Realty Goddess, but this week's message for you is to really take some time away for yourself and to keep your mind at a peaceful state. So put the phone down, go spend some time with your family, get some hugs in, and then breathe.
Lovely message. Next up, if the screen, Jill Jones.
Yeah, I actually this week did spend every day. I made sure I spent because I'm working on a project. So that is keeping me off for at least 6 hours a day.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And I just, what can I say? LaLa's right. Enjoy your loved ones and your fur babies, and just just hunker down and really look at what's important in your life.
All right. And you can find her on Jill Jones Music, Instagram and Threads, and also on Facebook, Jill Jones Music.
yeah.
Forgot to put that one there. So next up, thanks, she made it outside. She's not 100%, but Aisha K. Staggers.
Well, you can do like me. I have been taking my time off social media. It's very freeing. Even off our Discord group, sometimes I just, am just trying to focus on other things so that can get through this thing we call life. So that's my message for all of you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Aisha. Thanks for making it out tonight. It's appreciated. All right. As we wrap it up, you want to get a hold of me? That's how you can get a hold of me. Website, the drvibeshow.com. Email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. You have YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at the drvibeshow, and X at drvibeshow. All right. And just going to say, you can watch replays of this epic conversation called State of Things. All right. Let's see if it will eventually get on the screen. There we go. The transitions aren't really working good today, so we got to make sure. You can watch replays of State of Things on the Dr. Vibe Show website and also on Dr. Vibe on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So thank you, everyone, for watching. As always, we close off with this. Oh, put that thing out by accident. Bad host, bad producer. Can't do everything right all the time, but we find a way. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and take some time out. There's nothing wrong with a time out. A lot of times we tell our kids, you need to take a time out. Well, I think a lot of adults need to take a time out. Or so-called adults. That's a whole other conversation. So take care, everyone. We will see you next week. Join the Discord group if you are up for it. You know what? I didn't get a chance to say that stuff. So let me just go there. All right. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, follow the Dr. Vibe Show Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Also, to advertise your business, product, or service, touch base with me. dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And even though Aisha's not on it all the time, she's on it enough. Our Discord group, email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. That's it now. We got everything in. So see you next week.